Welcome to Studio D on the campus of the University of Oklahoma. This is Sooner Sports Pad. And now, your host, Chloe Sparks.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode this semester of Sooner Sports Pad. I'm your new host, Chloe Sparks, here alongside our first-time analysts, Parker Thune and Kemper Ball.
Yes, sir.
Guys, tell us what's going down tonight.
Well, later on, our Sydney Bollier is going to talk to defensive back Trey Norwood about his recovery from an injury that cost him the entire 2019 season.
That's right, and Big 12 play is kicking off this week. We're going to look into the Sooner schedule. We're going to talk about if we're going to go undefeated or not.
And this first show lands as the Sooners are seeking sweet revenge on Kansas State, guys. Am I right? After last year's game? Last year, the unranked Wildcats managed to steal a win 48-41. The Sooners were down just a touch in the fourth quarter. It came down to an onside kick. OU's Gabe Burkage kicked one down into a clump of players, ricocheting off of one. The ball almost landed into the hands of Phillip Brooks, but winds up in Oklahoma's arms. OU was ready for revenge, but it was reviewed as illegally touched, and K-State took the game. What's different this year? I'll tell you what, guys. It's a new season for the Sooners, and they're here to prove it, beginning with a shutout. It's OU's first game, Missouri State. They held the Bears scoreless for 4 quarters. OU want to talk offense? OU star QB Spencer Rattler is here for it, ladies and gentlemen. With 290 passing yards and 4 touchdowns, and just a half the star shine as he brought along some of his freshman buddies with him. Guys, what areas do you think that the Sooners are going to need to improve on in order to get this sweet, sweet revenge?
Well, Chloe, given what we saw last year in Manhattan, I think it's got to start with the run defense. And look, we know how Kansas State's going to attack. Their offensive game plan has been the same for years. You think about Michael Bishop, Dylan Meyer, Colin Klein, and now Skylar Thompson. The quarterback is there to lead the rushing attack. They're not going to throw the ball downfield. And K-State gashed Oklahoma in the run game last year to the tune of 213 rushing yards, and that started with the effort from Thompson. Now, I was really encouraged by what I saw from the Sooners' run defense in the opener against Missouri State, and look, I get it. The Bears don't have a tremendous offensive line, nor do they have tremendous skill position players, but the Sooners seem to be flowing to the ball well, finding the holes and clogging them up, so I'm excited to see whether that carries over to their contest against Kansas State.
Yeah, the defense has clearly made another big step forward this year, just like they did last year. And my concern has never been defense or offense even. It's energy. We came out in that Kansas State game last year, and we looked flat. It looked like there was one team that wanted to be playing football that day, and one team didn't want to play football. And Oklahoma was a team that didn't want to be there. We've had a tendency to show up to games that OU should win and look flat. Look like we're just not mentally there to play. And my concern is Lincoln going to be able to get the boys going to play this year, especially when there's no fans in the crowd when we go somewhere like Iowa State or OU, or even here on our own campus where we've got a reduced capacity. I worry about us being able to get up for the big moments.
With all that being said, let's turn it over to top plays from the first look at football this fall. And I'm going to have to go with Rattler's 53-yard TD pass to Rambo. The Sooners didn't need a touchdown. I mean, it was already 14-0, and the first quarter wasn't even halfway over. But from over halfway across the field, it's clear Rattler wasn't about to be polite. Rambo might have had deja vu because he actually just missed a very similar pass. This is why it felt so good when he caught it this time. Guys, did you see anything that's worth mentioning?
Well, Chloe, I got to give some love to the true freshman Seth McGowan, whose first 2 touches as a Sooner both went to the house. Now, the second of those 2 touchdowns came via a 37-yard catch and run. He gets the pass on the flat, makes a couple fellas miss, hits the edge, pay dirt. 37 yards to the house. I tell you what, he had a really impressive debut. The best that I've seen from a true freshman running back here at Oklahoma since 2004, when we had a guy named Adrian Peterson walk in and do some pretty impressive things as a true freshman out of Palestine, Texas. I am really excited to see what Seth McGowan is going to bring to the table in this Sooner backfield, Kemper.
I like McGowan, just one of many freshmen that was producing on Saturday. But, you know, we've been talking about offense for years at OU. I want to talk about some defense. Let's look at Delarian Turner-Yell's interception. Now, if you take a look at this video, you see the closest receiver is approximately in Oklahoma City. There is nobody around this man when he catches this ball. Breaks his ankles too. That guy is getting lit up in film next day. All I know is we need turnovers. That's what Speed D is all about. Grinch has been preaching turnovers the last 2 years. Whenever we see them, we got to celebrate them. Those are a big, big deal for us this year.
All right, guys, it is a big deal. Let's take a look at Crimson Critique. Check out what some of the players have had to say during this bye week.
Obviously, we don't want to start slow and build up. We want to be able to get out there and get going right now. So that's our expectations is, to play how we're supposed to play every single game. So that's just, what I tell those guys is go out there and play how we're supposed to play every game.
So it's an important week for us. There's going to be, the guys that did play in the game, it'll be important for them to take that next step and improve because there's so much on tape that we have to get better at and are going to need to going into conference play. And then the guys that were fortunate enough to get back, we got to get those guys back up to speed and ready to go as well. So it's going to be important for every single person on our roster.
There's more up next with OU's redshirt junior, so stick around. Trey Norwood coming up next.
Thank you to our Cornerstone Television partners, OU Medicine, Anheuser-Busch, and OU Extended Campus, and our community partners, Landers Auto Group, Coca-Cola, and OU Medicine.
Welcome back to Sooner Sports Pad. We are so glad to have you back here with us. Now we're about to take a look at our own Sydney Bollier. Caught up with Trey Norwood earlier this week to discuss the bye week and what's to come. Let's hear what they have to say.
Yeah, guys, I'm here with redshirt junior defensive back Trey Norwood. Trey, you were out for the full season last year with an injury. Can you talk a little bit about what that recovery process was like? Are you 100%?
I am. The end of August made a year, so recovery process. It was long, but it was good. It was a journey that I feel like everything happens for a reason, so it's something that I wouldn't change and progressed each and every day throughout the process, thanks to our training staff, thanks to everybody that helped out along the way. So I feel good. I'm back 100%, knee feels well, so.
Now you played a full season under Mike Stoops as your defensive coordinator. Now you are with Alex Grinch and his defensive scheme. How is that different, and how do you instill that Speed D mentality?
Both of them are great coaches, but with Coach Grinch and the Speed D concept, our biggest thing is the effort-based defense, and it's really a mindset, and that's something that Coach Grinch and the defensive staff has instilled the first day that they walked in, and I can tell from just over the last season and then coming to this season, guys are fully bought in, and it's just playing with that edge and sense of urgency each and every snap, and you can see that on every play, every rep, and so that's one of those type of things that we take pride in playing, with the sense of urgency and edge and just living up to the standard.
And Trey, you're a redshirt junior now, so you have a little bit more experience under your belt than the 5 true freshmen under you this season. How are you going to show them the Sooner way, and how important is it for you guys to do that for the younger guys? Just
making sure that I'm providing them with knowledge each and every day from the things that I've learned over my time being here, just allowing them to use me as an open book to learn and gain knowledge from, and then on the flip side, holding them to that standard as well. Although they're freshmen, we want to hold each and everybody to that high standard, because that's not going to do anything but make us as a whole on the defensive side better. And our young guys they're working tremendously hard each and every day, and they're continuing to grow. And that's something that in the long run, when they become the older guys, it'll help them out to pass along and keep that standard high to the young guys that come in behind them.
Well, thank you, Trey, so much for being with us today, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
That's it from Studio A. Back to you guys.
Football isn't the only thing on the players' minds these days. Before starting the football season, OU football players united on campus to stand up against racial injustice. Shannon Earhart has the details.
For years, unity and social injustice have been well-known struggles within college communities, but it's never been a problem with OU football head coaches, and respect and fairness is what they've always taught their athletes. A march on the South Oval just 3 weeks ago reflects the voice head coach Lincoln Riley has for his team. But proactivism didn't start with Riley. Barry Switzer was the first coach to recognize that talent could never measure up to an athlete's background.
I was recruiting the black athlete at all positions, and no one else was. I was playing black athletes at quarterback before a lot of schools even recruited a black athlete.
On the heels of all the racial unrest from the 60s, Switzer was on the forefront for pulling for the top-of-the-line athletes.
Oklahoma was recognized as a school among the black community as a school they pulled for because of who we are and what we were doing. We were doing the right thing. We were not only recruiting the best athlete, we were doing what was right.
Now remembering OU in 2015, the racist incident with a fraternity comes to mind. And with Bob Stoops as head coach at the time, he let his players call the shots.
We need to sit here and just listen and let them be heard. I try and understand where they're coming from. We've got to hit it head on, deal with it, and let's try and affect some change.
Finding the light in these situations isn't an easy task, but keeping a level head is what took the team to crawl out of this black hole.
There's great respect for one another, there's love for one another, and there's an understanding for one another because we work so closely together. So I think we can demonstrate and show that this can be everywhere.
Fast forward 5 years, police brutality is still prevalent, but so is current head coach Lincoln Riley's drive to stand by his team.
Our message to them has been, one of support. Make sure that they know that they have outlets, that they have people here that care about them. And two, it's about persevering through it. Nothing good has ever happened that you didn't have to fight for a little bit.
Riley plays an unforgettable role to his athletes, showing vulnerability and the action he's willing to take to lead his team through every and all social injustice.
They've been raw and unfiltered. They've been eye-opening, very emotional, very tense. They've given every person there not only an opportunity to express themselves, but also, and maybe more importantly, an opportunity to listen.
Yet being unified won't just happen overnight. So leading through peace is what will push this concept into reality.
Taking positive steps and keeping the faith, and let's not let this be a thing that divides us even further. Why can't this be the thing that brings us all even more together?
For Sooner coaches, football will always be just football. But life lessons powered by emotion are what these Sooner coaches hope their boys take out of these twisted situations.
I started to speak about it, I broke down. And I don't do that. And it caught me by surprise, but that's how emotionally it affected me. Because I look out every day into a group of players, that are incredible.
So being a head coach means being a leader, but leading by example means much more than leading a team to victory. Shannon Earhart, Sooner Sports Pad.
All right, guys, hang tight. You won't want to miss the face-off that's about to go down between Parker and Kemper. Coming up next. Welcome back to Sooner Sports Pad, everyone. Parker and Kemper have been warming up all break for this. It is time. Their first ever face-off. Guys, we're going to have to start with the question that everyone has been wondering. Do the Sooners have what it takes to go undefeated in the regular season?
Okay, Chloe, I'm going to be real concise and to the point here. Yes, the Sooners are going undefeated here in 2020. Look, it feels like we have this conversation every year, right? It seemed like halfway through the season we were having this talk about the 2017 Sooners with Baker Mayfield at the helm. We had this talk with Kyler Murray in 2018. And when it was Jalen Hurts' turn in 2019, they got to 7-0 for the first time since 2004, but couldn't close the deal. The difference this year, I think, lies not so much in what Oklahoma has, but what the rest of the Big 12 doesn't have, which is depth. And I thought we saw that this last Saturday in Oklahoma State's game against Tulsa. What happens for the Pokes, the team that everybody expected to step up and challenge the Sooners, if Chuba Hubbard is off? The Sooners have depth. We saw it in their opener against Missouri State. They have all kinds of guys that can contribute. They were down 20 members of the two-deep roster and still shut out Missouri State. Take that for what you will. But I think Oklahoma's depth is what sets them apart from the rest of the field this year, and that is why they're going to go 10-0 in regular season play. It's
fair. I agree that depth is going to play a huge role. you know, like we're saying, we've had this conversation every year. We had it with Baker. We had it with Kyler. We had it with Jalen. We always think OU always thinks they're going to go undefeated. But there always seems to be that roadblock, that stumble that OU has throughout the season. You know, last year it was K-State. A couple years ago it was Iowa State. It just seems like every year there's one game that OU shows up and they are not mentally there to play. And I think that's going to be a hard thing to avoid this year, especially when you're playing in stadiums where there are no fans. Even in a road environment, like you go to Iowa State where they're playing with 0 fans in attendance, even playing on the road and having that negative energy is energy. It fuels you. So I hope Lincoln can get the boys ready to play, but I do worry about us coming out and getting the energy level where it needs to be.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of the other teams. And speaking of the other teams, the Big 12 has not been playing so great lately. Do you think that that's going to affect OU's chance of making it to the college playoffs?
Not at all, Chloe, and here's why. And it goes back to what I just said. I don't think Oklahoma's going to lose. And the only reason that there would be a controversy over putting Oklahoma in the college football playoff or spurning them come season's end is if they lost. Because if Oklahoma walks into the postseason with a 0 in the loss column, they're going to be in the college football playoff. My question is, who's going to beat them? We watched Iowa State get throttled by Louisiana. Arkansas State, down 8 starters, came to Manhattan and dispatched Kansas State. And we already talked about how atrocious Oklahoma State looked against Tulsa. I get that Texas is always kind of hanging in the background there, and they might have a chance to score the upset in the Cotton Bowl. Anything can happen in that game. But seriously, who's going to beat the Sooners? And if no one does, they're definitely getting into the college football playoff. I don't think it's a question.
Yep, you know, I agree with just about everything you said. You know, if OU goes undefeated, I think that one of the 4 playoff spots is theirs. But, you know, it's kind of what I was saying. Go back to my last point. It always seems like OU hits a road bump and they stumble at some point in the year. And this year, with how bad the Big 12 played in the first week, there is no margin for error. Now, I think Oklahoma State's going to improve as the year goes on. They virtually had no practice this offseason, so they were rusty. I think they're going to improve as the year goes on. They got to get their guy under center healthy. But I think they're going to propose a challenge to us later on in the year. But still, you know, the committee seeing that poor first week, if we play them close, if OU stumbles at all, I mean, the committee is going to be looking for any reason to keep OU out of this playoff this year.
That being said, Kemper, I hope that your viral video is much better than your take on OU.
Ow.
Guys, what do you have for me this week for viral videos?
Well, I'll tell you what, this will be fun. You're about to watch former Sooner great and NFL Hall of Famer somewhere down the line, Trent Williams. He's about to give new meaning to the phrase horns down. Let's take a look here. Here is Trent Williams. Here is Jordan Hicks, who is a former Longhorn. Trent Williams here is going to get a full head of steam on this play here. Come on, Trent. Where are you at? Here we go. So here's Trent Williams, Jordan Hicks right here. Now watch what's about to happen. Full head of steam for Trent Williams coming right at the middle linebacker, and wham! I tell you what, the last thing you want, if you're a linebacker looking at that running back in the backfield, you don't want to see Trent Williams in your peripheral vision coming to say, who's your daddy? That's a large man. I bet you Jordan Hicks is still feeling that one.
It's pretty hard to debate against watching Texas players getting hit. It's very fun. It's my favorite part of football. For me, I'm not the biggest soccer fan. To get me interested in soccer, you got to have something like this. See, this parrot has landed on a player's head mid-game, stopping the contest. Got to use the ball, bring it in, and then look at him cover the field. Graceful. Beautiful. This is entertaining to me. This is how you get me to like soccer.
I didn't know parrots were that big. That's a massive bird.
I didn't know they were that into soccer. I don't know.
Okay, guys, it's time to vote. We are going to cheer louder for whoever we think did the best in face-off. Their first ever face-off, I might remind you. All right, let's give it up for Parker. A little bit. Maybe the bird. Let's give it up for Kemper. You know, I think that Parker won by just a smidge. Guys, stay tuned because we have everything you should watch for as the Sooners get back to business. Coming up next. Sooner volleyball, soccer, and football are all playing ball this week, beginning with the volleyball team. The ladies are preparing for a Red River Showdown. They will host Texas on Thursday at 6:30 and wrap it up the following day at 6. As for the soccer team, they're traveling down to Austin for their own Red River rivalry. That coin will be tossed on Friday at 7 o'clock. Last but certainly not least, get ready to wake up to some Sooner football at 11 o'clock. The boys take on Kansas State at home. And to end with a bang, we have the Sports Pad Challenge. And this week, it's trivia. Everyone's favorite. We have Parker Thune, Kimber Ball, standing here with their game faces on. Are you ready for the first question?
Yes, I'm locked in. Let's do it.
All right, guys. There have been 5 Sooners inducted first overall in the NFL draft. Name 3. Parker.
No, Kemper was first on that one.
All right, Honest Abe.
Sam Bradford, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield.
All righty. And Kimber has 1 point. Which Sooner head coach had 157 wins? Parker.
Bob Stoops.
Nope.
Ooh.
Kimber. You want to sub in?
I'll go Barry.
Yep, that's the one.
Ooh, the king.
All right, it's 1-1. This is the tiebreaker, guys. What team did Adrian Peterson break his collarbone against? It's a
That's
tie.
about simultaneous. You know it?
No.
Rebuzz, 1.
Iowa State.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys. Parker is the winner of the first Sooner trivia ever to happen. Guys.
I got 2 right.
All right, no. They both win. They both win then. Kimber wins. Guys, thank you for joining us this week on Sports Pad. We are so glad to have had you. Come again next time, same place, same time. Be sure to check out all of our social medias.